For level 3, we now have multiple variables to deal with, as well as negative exponents. So when we are looking at number 1, the first thing that we need to do is we need to simplify this fraction. That means that I will need to look at the coefficients to see if they can be reduced, which these cannot, and then look at these exponents and I'll subtract them. The 8x to the 4th is going to hang out in front. Remember I said 3 over 4 can't be reduced, and we'll take the big number minus the small number, so 7 minus 5, and we will put our answer on the bottom this time because that's where I found the 7. So 7 minus 5 is 2. Now remember, when you are multiplying fractions, you are multiplying the top times the top and the bottom times the bottom. So that gives us 8 times 3, which is 24, x to the 4th. And on the bottom, I have 4, x squared. 24 over 4, that can be reduced to just 6. And the exponents need to be subtracted again. 4 minus 2 is 2, and the 4 was bigger, so x squared will go on top. Number 2. Simplify this fraction first. So 6 over 2 becomes 3, and 7 minus 4 is 3, and the 7 was bigger and on the bottom, so x to the 3rd will go to the bottom. Now this guy has a negative exponent. To get rid of that negative exponent, he needs to move to the bottom of the fraction. So negative 3 is on top, and x to the 5th moves to the bottom. And we'll be multiplying our fraction, so top times top, bottom times bottom. So negative 3 times 3 gives me negative 9, and x to the 5th times x to the 3rd means I have to add these exponents, and it will become x to the 8th. Number 3. We have to simplify inside of this fraction bar first. So I have x to the 7th on top and a 5 on the bottom, but this negative exponent needs to be taken care of, so it's going to move to the top to become positive. And that means that I actually have to add these exponents together. 7 plus 2 gives me x to the 9th, and 5 to the 1st. And all of that will be raised to the 3rd power. Since it's raised to a power, remember we multiply these exponents together. So 9 times 3 gives me 27, and 1 times 3 gives me 3. You can type into your calculator 5 to the 3rd power, and it gives you 125. So my final answer is x to the 27th over 125. Number 4. Simplifying inside of this fraction first. So the 2 over 3, that cannot reduce. It's going to stay as 2 over 3. But I have a negative exponent. So to make that negative exponent positive, it will move to the bottom to join our x to the 4th power. That means that these exponents are now going to be added because their bases are being multiplied. So 2 will be on top, 3 will be on bottom, and this will become x to the 6th, 4 plus 2. Now each of the numbers in here also have an exponent. Remember, you just can't see it. So we need to multiply 1 times 2, 1 times 2, and 6 times 2. 2 squared, 3 squared, and x to the 12th. 2 squared is 4. 3 squared is 9. We have x to the 12th. and I cannot reduce 4 over 9, so that's my answer. Number 5. We need to simplify this part first. So that means that 4 to the first power, negative 4 to the first power, 5, or x to the fifth power, and y to the negative third power means that I'm going to have negative 4 to the second power, and you need to put it in parentheses, x to the 10th power, 5 times 2, and y to the negative 6th power, negative 3 times 2. And the negative 3x to the 7th hangs around. Type this into your calculator, but remember you have to put parentheses around the negative 4. Negative 4 squared should give me positive 16, x to the 10th, and this y to the negative 6 has to move to the bottom because it is a negative, so we'll make it positive by moving it to the bottom. Multiply by the negative 3 x to the 7th that just hung around again for another step. Now we can take and multiply 16 times negative 3, and we get negative 48. And the exponents will be added. 10 plus 7 gives me x to the 17th. And y to the 6th is the one that has to hang around this time. Number 6. We have negative 2 to the first power, x to the negative 6th power, and y to the 8th power. All of those exponents will be multiplied by 3. So 7x to the 4th times, parentheses, negative 2 to the 3 times 1, which is 3. X to the negative 6 times 3, which is negative 18. And y to the 24th, 8 times 3. Negative 2 raised to the third power, type that into your calculator, remembering to put parentheses around the negative 2, and you get negative 8. X to the negative 18th, we need to make him positive by moving him to the bottom, x to the 18th. And y to the 24th will stay on top. 7 times negative 8 gives me negative 56. And this x to the 4th and the x to the 18th, I'll subtract. Big number minus the small number. So 18 minus 4 gives me 14. Y to the 24th hangs out on top as well. 2 more. All of these inside here, we need to simplify it first before we deal with the third. So that means I'm going to check to see. Oops, you can't really see that 2 anymore. We're going to check to see, can I reduce 2 over 5? And I cannot, so it's going to stay as 2 over 5. But I have a negative exponent here, so x to the 5th will also get an x squared on top. And these y's, 2 minus, remember there's a 1 there, so 2 minus 1 is 1, so y to the 1st will be on top. And that whole thing will be raised to the 3rd power. We need to combine these x's by adding them together. So we'll have 2 x to the 7th, y to the 1st over 5. And all of that is going to be cubed. We'll remember to put our 1s for our coefficients so that when I go to multiply that 3, I'm multiplying it by every exponent, even the ones I can't see. 2 to the 3rd. X will be raised to the 21st, 7 times 3. y to the third, and finally 5 to the third. Simplify the 2 to the third and the 5 to the third, and you'll get your final answer. 8, 2 to the third is 8, x to the 21st, y to the third, over 5 to the third, which is 125. Last one. We're going to simplify this part first. So I have negative 4x squared. Y is going to hang out with us. And the 8 over 4, that can reduce to just 2. And the x cubed and y to the 7th, can't do anything with those. When we multiply fractions, we do top times top and bottom times bottom. So we'll have negative 4 times 2 to give us negative 8. X squared and x to the third. We'll add those exponents together to get x to the 5th. And then y on top and y to the 7th on the bottom. Remember, that's really a 1. So we'll do 7 minus 1 because the big number minus the small number. And we'll put our answer in the denominator because that's where we found the bigger number. And that's it.